Ladies and gentlemen, poor Nancy has been kicked out, evicted from her office at the Capitol, and this is quite amusing for a number of reasons. Hit subscribe to this channel right now. No eviction moratorium for Nancy Pelosi. The way Democrats pushed for eviction moratorium after they shut down economic activity, didn't let people work, then said, oh, we're the heroes, and then advocated eviction moratorium after they destroyed the economy because of you know what anyway. And then, of course, they said, well, you know, everyone agreed. That's just what had to happen. Nancy Pelosi says interim House Speaker asked her to vacate her Capitol office. Former House Speaker, this is an NPR article, Nancy Pelosi accused the new interim Speaker, Patrick Mchenry, of ordering her to vacate her workspace at the Capitol building on Tuesday, just hours after the chamber's abrupt leadership shakeup. In a statement shared with NPR, Pelosi, Democrat, California, said she was asked to leave her space immediately. With all the important decisions that the new Republican leadership must address, which we are all eagerly awaiting, one of the first actions taken by the new speaker is to order me to immediately vacate my office at the Capitol. That was actually a fantastic move. See, that's something that McCarthy should have done. It's something that McCarthy should have done. Okay? Because you don't want somebody as effective, as influential, as powerful as Nancy Pelosi in terms of your political rival right next to you all the time. Perhaps influencing never-Trump Republicans. There's a political element to this, too. It's not just, revenge or animus. There's a political element here as well. So Representative Steny Hoyer, the former House Majority Leader, was also asked to leave his office. His staff confirmed the Speaker is going to reassign, for Speaker use, please vacate the space tomorrow. The room will be rekeyed. Wow. The room will be rekeyed. Pelosi, like most members of the House, maintains a regular office in the Cannon House building, which is just across the street. But as a former Speaker, she also has access to hideaway space within the Capitol itself. The Speaker has sole authority to dole out prized Capitol real estate. There is no reason why Republicans, and hit subscribe to this channel right now, ladies and gentlemen. There's no reason why any Republican should offer any kind of civil and I'm not like, I don't like the Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld Republicans. I like Trump Republicans who are against never-ending military conflict. I do not want never-ending military conflict. Okay, I want record low poverty, which is what we had under Trump. I want the Doha Agreement to bring Americans home, which is what Trump negotiated. But you impeach Trump twice while Biden and Hunter and a number of other Democrats, Bill, Hillary, mainly Hunter, engage in rampant criminality. Then they go after Trump for elevating his net worth. Okay, I explained in the segment prior why the Supreme Court will likely overturn that in any other conviction. The reason that Trump is up in an average of polls after being indicted 4 times. So not only did they impeach him twice, he's indicted 4 times, and still, he's defeating mashed potato brains in an average of polls. Go to RCP. We can do it right now. We can go to Real Clear Politics. After this, go to Real Clear Politics. After you watch this, you can see in an average of polls, Trump is defeating Biden by 1.1 points or so. Okay? So then they say this eviction is a sharp departure from tradition. They've indicted 4 different times a former president. Do you think that Biden or Hunter, after Trump, or I should say after this administration peacefully gives the Oval Office back to Trump, hopefully when he wins again, do you think the DOJ isn't going to then investigate Biden? So what Democrats do is they go after Trump in a way that completely tarnishes, eviscerates, destroys tradition. They treat Donald Trump in a manner that no other former president has been treated. And then they say, oh my God, he deviates from tradition. I mean, it's like everything they complain about They're the opposite of their alleged ideals. It's pretty unbelievable. And then she goes, as speaker, I gave former Speaker Hastert, oh, fantastic, in the 90s and the early 2000s. Okay. So here, Nancy Pelosi, this is very interesting. Hit subscribe to this channel, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to read my writing in The Hill, the Huffington Post, Salon, the Jerusalem Post, the Federalist, other publications. Go to hagoodman.com. My Patreon is below. Super thanks is below. We will have a live stream probably tomorrow evening. So be here tomorrow evening, probably around 6 p.m. Pacific time, 9 p.m. Eastern. But you look, ladies and gentlemen, and they impeached Trump on the notion, not that he did. There was no evidence that he did. There was zero evidence that he tried to investigate his political rival when he spoke to the leader of the country, having been invaded now for over a year under Biden's watch. So with Democrats, if you really look at the aggregate viewpoint, it's like everything they claim to be for or against, the opposite is true. So they wanted to protect that country. The country was invaded in Europe under their watch. A good part of that country is taken over by the Kremlin. And so much suffering under the watch of Democrats, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And media just focuses on Trump. And it's like Hunter and Joe had obvious graphs. So if you're a morally superior liberal Democrat, highly educated, you've stumbled upon this channel, not very big, good-sized channel, not very big. Hopefully we get to 300,000 by the end of this year. But it is obvious. I mean, you'd have to be a complete buffoon and an imbecile not to realize that Hunter and Joe and others around them engaged in clear violations of the law, graft, bribery, laundering of hundreds of millions of dollars, or tens of millions at least. You look at what Chuck Grassley, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, people who worked for various departments, Internal Revenue, you look and there's a money trail. There are emails asking for influence. There's a laptop linked to the money trail where people are literally asking for influence. They're literally asking Hunter to use his power and influence within the United States government to help them. I don't even know what more you need. But they're going after Trump for Trump elevated his net worth. Wrong. Of course, in New York, they're going to indict him and convict him. That's the epicenter of liberal Democratic Party politics. It's Tammany Hall. You could look it up. That's why he's up in an average of polls. That's why Trump, having been indicted 4 times and impeached twice, is still defeating Biden in an average of polls. And we're likely going to head into a recession. Because after Democrats ignored inflation, and then it went through the roof, then they addressed inflation by increasing interest rates. Now you've made it so that we're heading towards a recession again. We already had a recession, by the way, 2 quarters of negative growth. But Pelosi, other top Democrats, evicted. It's a very sad irony. I don't want to say it's poetic because that's a little bit too petulant, but it's almost a sad irony that it was Democrats who tanked the economy several years back. It was a choice to shut down economic activity. You did not have to do that. It was a terrible, terrible reaction to a serious, serious issue. And CNN with a counter of lives lost and just shutting down life as we know it, definitely in blue states. Maybe in red states there was more normality. And then Democrats said, whoa, we're an eviction moratorium, man. Well, you prevented people from working, you imbecile. And you did so because there was a consensus where you marginalized and silenced and denigrated and disparaged anyone who disagreed with you, including experts who disagreed with your experts. And then you didn't let people work. Then they couldn't afford rent because Democrats don't understand capitalism. They don't understand business. The Democratic Party gets their money from tax dollars and campaign donations. And media. So strife and political unrest, they benefit. So you want to shut down economic activity? No problem for them. But for everyone else who had to pay rent, it was a big problem. Then they said, here's a check and eviction moratorium. Well, you prevented people from working. Anyway, give me your thoughts below. Hit subscribe, and you didn't have to do that. Hit subscribe right now.